All right, guys, we're live. Thanks for joining again. This is the Real Shot 256 with another episode of Evening Crypto. Again, thanks for being here. Thanks for your time today. Today we're looking at the market cap. We're going to do some technical analysis. If you're not following me on Twitter, I did post a chart from last night before today's dip. I was telling you guys about what I was expecting as far as that goes. I'll get into it really quick. We'll also get into some other news of the day, but here's pretty much what I was telling you guys where we're going to end up going ultimately, right? I posted this on my Twitter account after the dip this morning. I did revise some of these numbers, so this is what I came up with: 8,500 for our ultimate bottom. And then from there, a lot of people are going to be buying in, and you can see, us recovering from there and just kind of working our way, grinding our way up through this pitchfork channel that I've been telling you guys about for the last couple of weeks, few weeks, maybe a month or so, and on to bigger and better things above the $14,000 range. In my opinion, I do think we're going to see a $20,000 Bitcoin if this pans out by the end of the year. So definitely, again, follow me on Twitter. I do post these charts kind of regularly, and I also share them on my Instagram at the Real Shot 256. So if you're not following there, you're missing out on some of these updates. Definitely let me know if you do decide to follow. Give me a shout out. I always appreciate it when you do. And so let's get into the state of the market. We're looking at $304,000 billion market cap and about 86 billion in trading volume. We reached a very high point earlier last week. We were trading around 138 billion. Our market cap was looking very strong at 341. Looked like we were just going to keep on going up, but we did come to a complete stop and hit the reverse button there. Our BTC dominance, Bitcoin dominance, excuse me, did go up to 61% at one point, and we've scaled back down a little bit, just a tiny bit. So for all of those who are thinking now is a good time for alt season or alt summer or whatever you want to call it, you're gonna have to hold your breath a little bit longer until you turn blue, purple, and God knows what else, because it does not look like it's gonna happen anytime soon. So and in fact, I wouldn't be counting on it until Bitcoin just decides to really consolidate for a long period of time, which I don't see with the amount of volatility we've seen so far in these markets. I don't think we're going to see Bitcoin stabilize or kind of consolidate in one area for a prolonged period of time. So with that being said, I don't think we are going to get an alt season or an alt summer anytime soon. So any conversations, any talk that you hear about alt season coming, and it's now we're due for an alt summer. Yeah, just kind of toss that aside and don't pay too much attention to that. I really doubt that we're going to see anything like that. And in fact, what we have seen in this past run with Bitcoin is Bitcoin's just kind of running away with everything and taking all the attention, taking all the volume, taking all the new investors coming into town. And then once Bitcoin decides to retrace, the alts not really following on Bitcoin's footsteps, kind of lagging behind. But then when Bitcoin does retrace, then we do see the alts getting hit anyway. So definitely not a good time to be in alts right now. I don't think, unless there's a few exceptions in the charts lately, such as Link. Full disclosure, I am not a Link, but that is one of the charts that does look very enticing, very bullish in my opinion, just kind of doing its own thing. It's not to say that it's not susceptible to Bitcoin dropping, because it has followed in the Bitcoin's footsteps anytime that it does decide to dip down. So, but for the most part, I mean, staying resilient, staying very strong, and at times kind of deciding to do its own thing and be independent from the rest of the pack. which is why I think is very, very interesting. In fact, it reached number 14 at some point last week over the weekend on the CoinMarketCap website. We do see it scaling back down to about 16, number 16. But like I said, I did see it taking Monero spot at number 14 here. I don't think Leo's going to stay there very long. This is sort of the Bittrex patch that Bitfinex's patch that they decided to crowdfund their lost funds not that long ago. So don't think that's going to remain there very long. I do think Chainlink's going to take over that spot, maybe Monero, and definitely creep up its way into the top 10 at some point. Whether it stays there or not, it'll depend on Chainlink, in my opinion, and the community. If the community can, or if Chainlink can gather and grow its community of supporters, then we could probably see a top 10 Chainlink in the near future. I'm not going to say that that is not possible because it quite could be quite possible. So um, I would definitely look forward to that. Not a bad thing in my opinion. Um, just something different, just a new player in the top 10. If you go back in history, if you go back, say, in 2014 and look at the top 10 cryptocurrencies in 2014, you'll see that the list is very, very different. Nothing of what it looks like today. And I don't think maybe a couple players here and there, but the top 10 would look very, very unfamiliar to you as it did for me. All right, so taking a look at the chart here, looking at Bitcoin, it looks like we're in the middle of this pitchfork again. The pitchfork has just been absolutely phenomenal. I kind of went away from it when we dipped down below this area and kind of remained under it, just thinking we were probably just going to go back down and correct. At that point, we didn't. We did regain it, and at that point, I said, you know what, we better bring this back because it has called these moves back here with a lot of accuracy. We see the pitchfork, the middle channel, the red line here is kind of dominating the price action for a while. We did see Bitcoin try to breach it once, kind of sort of twice, then dip down once we failed, and actually went down below the channel. And we luckily found pretty good support there and came back into the channel, regained that, went above this second line of support here or resistance. Uh, and eventually we went on to retest the middle of the channel twice, came back down. We thought this might have been the correction we were waiting for, regained it here, retested again, and finally just broke through it with a lot of conviction, a lot of volume, a lot of pressure to the upside. The bulls just kind of took over, and took a hold of this market for a good while, a few weeks, maybe months. And we saw the parabolic run, which is we can definitely say now it's a local top, and now it's time to definitely correct, and we do see the pattern here. We have typically after a parabolic run, we do have a parabolic downturn and correction. We also typically see a bounce, and then we continue on. We do have continuation onto the downside, and to kind of validate what we're talking about here, we do see that once we reach this parabolic top back in 2017 December timeframe, we do see here Bitcoin just going on a parabolic run, reaching new highs at near $20,000 levels, and then we do see a parabolic downward action. I mean, just a massive, massive continuation to the downside correction here. We do see a bounce up, another correction to the downside, and then another bounce, and finally we start seeing more and more continuation to the downside, which is what we see here in this pattern here. We do see here a not only a local top but a bullish engulfing candle, followed by a bounce, and now a retracement. Again, very, very similar to what's going on here, back in 2017 and on to early 2018. We do see here again with this run that ended, we're going to say it ended, call it July 24th, when we went back and retested the $8,470 range, and then again we went back down to the low 6,000. So this is again very typical behavior for what is to be expected, a pretty substantial correction, which is what we've been waiting for. Some other traders out there, the way they're wording it is that our 5-wave pattern has been completed, and we are now heading down to a to the $8,500, 95 to between 95 and $8,500 levels. That's kind of the general consensus. I am going to maybe make a bold call here and say that we do retest 8,500 right around this area. Again, I tweeted a new chart last night and corrected, kind of tweaked it a little bit this morning after the dip. But I was warning you since last night on Twitter that this was coming very, very soon. This move to the $10,000 range. I did call for a $10,000, $10,300 support level. We might trade there for a little bit, and we did see here Bitcoin is actually trading right at 10,300, trying to gather some support there. I do think we're going to trade in this range here for some time. If we get a little granular here with the 4-hour, I do think we can play around in these levels. Where right now it's struggling to keep the middle red line here of the pitchfork channel. You could definitely say that it's been struggling. I mean, breaching it to the downside and coming back up and coming back down. Just some indecision, but it also looks like consolidation to me. So I mean, but honestly, I don't anticipate Bitcoin staying here for very long. It does look right now like it even wants to come and test this bottom of this channel, the green channel here at the bottom here, which would put us right at around $10,000 even. If it breaches that, we do have a couple more areas of support. I do think we will find some area of support here, but around that next target, which I called out again at 9,500. And if we breach that, I do think we're going to see $8,500 ultimately as the absolute bottom. We'll most likely find that it will be a local bottom and then bounce up from there. Going back to this drawing here, I cannot unfortunately zoom in anymore on this, but if you can take a look at where we're at right now, and we're working our way down, called for that, and ultimately we're going to end up around the $8,500. So go to my Twitter account, go to my Instagram, you guys will find it there. But again, I do think it's going to take some time for this all to play out. That's not something that I do think we're going to see in the very near future. We did see this correction here coming down, and it took very little time. So a lot of volatility, very violent action to the downside. I do think that it's going to have to sort of consolidate here for a little bit before continuing down again to the downside. Next level of support here looks like it's the 9,900 or $10,000 Bitcoin, and then again it maybe we'll trade here for a little bit in between the simple 200 and the 0.382 Fibonacci retracement area of support, because again a lot of bots are going to be buying here at the 382. A lot of bots are going to be buying up Bitcoin, so I do expect it to bounce from here, kind of retest this area again before making our way ultimately down to 8,500. All right, so again, just it's going to take some time. Be patient. If my thing is I'm keeping everything or as much as I can in my cash reserves or Tether or whatever stablecoin you want to use. I am using stablecoins right now to stay safe and prevent from losing money in these dips. Excuse me. You might find a different way or have a different strategy to do that, but that's what I'm doing. Not financial advice, but that's what I'm doing. I'm actually staying pretty safe. I did enter a trade into earlier today into this bounce here right after I want to say I caught it around, what is this right here, about no, it was actually lower, about 1250. So 10, I'm sorry, 10250 is where I caught it, and rode it up to this area. Decided to keep it because I do think we can find some legs in this bounce here momentarily. Come back and retest the 89 EMA here, and then ultimately maybe make our way down. But I do think it's going to retest this area, a higher area of the channel before coming down. So I did re-enter a small trade, a very small portion, maybe 25% of my position, my cash position. Gosh, 25% of my cash position in here around 1250 or 10250, sorry. And I am going to ride it for a little bit longer, see if we do get a retest here. If I don't, I am going to exit at about 2% on the downside from here, and again, try to take care of my cash position as much as I can. Again, that you might have your own strategies. This is not financial advice, just sharing what I'm doing. So, taking a look at BNB. BNB has just been one of those coins that has also, proven to be pretty strong and resilient. Not really at times showing that showing that it has detached, decoupled from Bitcoin quite a bit. Although the run does seem similar, and one of the things I was telling you about on previous videos is, I like the pattern and the consistency with BNB coin. For a lot of one-on-one traders or beginner level traders, I was telling you guys about these sort of moves here. We do see here a level of resistance hitting at 1, 2, and then breaching it on the third try and just going up. Doing it again here and again here, again right here. I mean, you get the gist, right? So for a lot of new traders, this is something that definitely works. I entered into that earlier trade that I tell you guys about, 10,250, based on the same pattern. We do see here a pretty nasty retracement. We see here coming back 1, 2, and then breaching it on the third time and finding a nice little bounce, correction, and then another bounce. So you could do it, a couple different ways. You can buy the third dip here, um, and if you do this, I mean, this is a little more riskier, but has the higher reward because you get to play in the entire bounce from this point all the way up. Let's just give it a measure here, just to see. Say you were entering at the bottom of this body, not using the wick, to the top of this bounce. You could have potentially gained almost 10% on that little bounce there. Seems like a little bounce, but it's actually pretty significant. Um, so, and there's like I was saying, there's just a couple different ways you can do it. You can enter here and just exit your entire position close to the top. I mean, it's really really difficult to call in top. Remember, guys, only one account in trading gets to buy the absolute bottom or the absolute top. Only one account gets to do that. Because again, we either run out of buyers or we run out of sellers, right? So don't try to catch the absolute top. Um, don't try to catch the absolute bottom. It's if you do see a good entry point after a dip, by all means, go ahead and take advantage of that. Um, and don't get too greedy either. You can scale your way out once you've seen a certain target. Let's just say that you know you break out of here, right, out of this resistance line, and you're about this point. I mean, it's 6.21 is not a bad trade, right? I mean, you can definitely start scaling out and start securing some of those gains, and maybe wait an hour or two, and if the price keeps going up, then maybe take another chunk out of there. 8.43% is not a bad trade at all by any means. Show me another market that can do that. You won't find it anywhere else. So this could be a working strategy for you if you're on the beginner side of things. Not really speaking to the seasoned traders. Those guys, they have their own. they have their own strategy of trading. This is just something that's very on the trading 101 level for a lot of people who are starting to trade. So I do like BNB for that reason. It's pretty easy to trade, pretty predictable, and just consistent with that sort of pattern, right? So looking right now, looking like pretty much very similar to Bitcoin. Looks like it's actually this looks like a little bit more consolidation here than what Bitcoin is doing, and you can see. I mean, it's very clear here, just creating a horizontal channel here, and just finding support and resistance within that channel. Not really doing anything weird or anything. I mean, just very predictable consolidation pattern here. But again, if Bitcoin does decide to take in a massive dump, I do think we're going to breach this channel here, and we should find support around the 30 cents, 30 point 30. I'm sorry, $30.50 is what I'm trying to say here. And if we do breach this area, the this is our 10 simple here, very close to our 377. If it does breach this area, then it could be a free fall into lower levels. Maybe we'll find some support right at this area here, just depending again on how hard Bitcoin does decide to retrace. If we get to the $8,500 level, which would be on Bitcoin's chart, if we do get to the $8,500 level, I definitely do want to get a measure of this so we can also put a measure on BNB. So let's see. I have said that we're going to retrace to about 35 to 40%. If we do make that move, that'll put us right around the $8,500 range, which again I'm very keen on. I do think we're going to see that in this correction here. And on the more bearish case of things, I do think that we could see a stop at the $9,500 range and bounce from there. That is certainly possible at the bottom of this pitchfork channel here. It is certainly possible, but I do think the bears are going to grab pretty good control of this correction and actually bring us down to the 85%. And this will still be a healthy correction, and we're not really in a bearish territory or danger of being overtaken by the bears at this point. Even reaching at 85%, I am still bullish overall on Bitcoin. So if we take that retracement here and we measure BNB, that'll kind of give us something to look forward to or measure. So we could see $25 BNB coin in the near future if again, which again I highly think they're everything in the market is correlated. Although these coins do tend to show some signs of independence and resilience, I do think overall once we see this sort of move from Bitcoin, I do think that the alts will definitely follow, and the outside of a few altcoins like BNB coin, Litecoin, Chainlink, a lot of alts, even in the top 10, like Cardano, are going to get hammered, absolutely hammered and squeezed, and ultimately that will be a real test of survival for these altcoins. So again, try to be careful out there. Don't listen to a lot of hoopla that is certainly out there within regards altcoin. We're nowhere near a altcoin season or summer. We're not going to see that anytime soon. So I would play it on the safer side. Just my opinion, guys. I'm taking a sip of water here because I am getting pretty dry mouth here, cotton mouth. All right, sorry about that. All right, so taking a look at the next thing in line here, we'll look at Litecoin. Oh, by the way, did you guys see the news that Charlie Lee is going to be joining in the infamous luncheon with Warren Buffett. So far, I think we got Charlie Lee, and forget who else is in there. Two main characters in the crypto sphere are going to be joining Justin Sun for that luncheons. Which Charlie Lee is definitely one of those individuals that I certainly wanted to see join Justin Sun. He can definitely make an argument for a great argument and a very compelling case for cryptocurrencies. I mean, not that Warren Buffett is going to send us to the moon, but I do think his approval would definitely be only beneficial for the industry and cryptocurrencies altogether. He has come out and said, along with, oh gosh, I think I'm going to go on a tangent here, but yeah, sorry, I hate to do this, but I kind of have to. So Warren Buffett and Jamie Dimon have come out and both, I mean, almost systematically and almost verbatim have said chain blockchain is good technology, is positive technology, something that's going to take something that is going to disrupt a lot of existing traditional institutions such as regular banking services and remittances services. Something that again Jamie Dimon has echoed in recent days, calling for blockchain good, but not really giving credit to Bitcoin, the creator, and the the technology that brought forward blockchain technology along with it. But again, not really wanting to give the credit where credit is due. I do think that these two individuals kind of talk to each other and orchestrate the type of message that they are going to release to the masses. So to say that blockchain is good, but Bitcoin is not. For those who aren't aware of what Bitcoin is, and blockchain is an innate characteristic or an innate component of Bitcoin. For those folks, that message can resonate or can really stick in their minds. That there can be a separation between blockchain and Bitcoin, and it's our job. And I think for anyone who is looking at this video and listening, I think it's our job to definitely educate those folks and let them know, hey, you can't have one without the other. You can't run a automobile without gasoline or some sort of gas in the tank. So these two folks have repeatedly come out and say the same, pretty much same sort of thing verbatim. Because again, Bitcoin is a threat. Blockchain technology is a threat um, to Jamie Dimon as an institution and to Warren Buffett as an investor in that same institution. Warren Buffett does hold a significant amount of his investments in Chase, and obviously Chase does not want to piss off Mr. Warren Buffett, so he definitely doesn't want to go on the contrary and say that Bitcoin is good along with blockchain technology. So sorry about the tangent there, but again, it is a good thing that Charlie Lee is joining in that luncheon. I do think it will be beneficial, and hopefully he can make a very compelling case so that maybe Mr. Warren Buffett will get off that train and stop saying that blockchain good, Bitcoin bad, because he just looks like a dumbass in my opinion. He might know how to make a fortune in the real estate and other ways, but definitely does not know how these markets work. So Litecoin sort of staying resilient, but it does look like it wants to break down and leave this rising channel here. We do already see here it's actually kind of breached it, but it did find enough support to get back into it, and right now currently testing the bottom of this channel here. But ultimately I do think, because Bitcoin is going to retest some lower lows, or not lower lows, I'm sorry, definitely don't want Bitcoin to do that, but I do think it's going to retest some lower levels, some lower prior levels. I do think our next immediate move will be around 111, and then after that should find support here at the 10 simple of about 107.71 is where that is calling it. But again, ultimately, I do think we are going to see Litecoin join in on the correction along with Bitcoin. So stay safe out there in regards to that. And then we'll close it up here with Chainlink. Chainlink just kind of doing its own thing really. Out of all the altcoins, I do think this is the strongest and most resilient out of all the alts. Again, it just makes me think that there is no doubt, almost in my mind, that it's going to get into the top 10 within the um, cryptocurrency realm. I do think it's going to make the top 10, the list of top 10 altcoins, um, and take some names along with it on its way up. So this is definitely one that I am looking to at some point get in, but I won't do it right now. I don't, like I said, I am definitely weary of going into any trade except for bounces and only for a short and temporary period of time. Once I am happy with the returns, like you saw earlier, if you get somewhere in between anything above 5% is in my opinion is a great trade, right? If you go into the double digits, then I mean that's just stellar in my opinion. But again, um, some of you might think that's not enough because you maybe you maybe took part in a pump and dump scheme or an IEO or an ICO or one of those things, and you guys probably went parabolic for like something crazy like 40-50% gains on one trade, which is it's the exception, not the rule, guys. So don't get fooled by the hoopla in that sort of thing. Don't get involved in pump and dumps. That's usually a good practice because again, if you're not a seasoned trader, you don't know when to get in, when to get out, and also the liquidity of it is always an important factor, something to be definitely weary of. But again, Link has shown that it belongs in the top 15. In my opinion, I do think being number 16 right now is only temporary. Um, and if it does correct, I do think it's going to stay strong and maybe not quite follow on a 35 to 40% correction. I think it's going to stay strong. It's going to stay resilient. In the case that it does, I mean, you see a lot of support. I mean, currently, still with the correction that we just had with Bitcoin and retracing about 15% in one day. You see this the posture currently on Chainlink, and it looks very very bullish in my opinion, finding support at the simple 100 here, and also between the simple 100 and the 21 and the 30 simple just coming right above it, and we can just see how it's just trading in between that like textbook, right? And I do think that it could find some consolidation here, make a solid ground for itself for future price action, and just come back and find support in the future again, because I do think we're going to breach this area, come back down, retest these lower levels here, but then again, once we are ready to take off again, and it is going to find some solid ground here. It'll definitely act as resistance on the way up, but then I do think it could with what it's shown here in the last couple of months, the sort of strength in rallying, the sort of push and support from the community does make me think that Chainlink is just going to be one of those. Maybe will be the top project as far as percentage gained in 2019. This could be the top coin again for 2019. So pay close attention is my recommendation. Again, I will not go into Chainlink at these levels. I am definitely looking to get back into the $2 range, and then we'll reconsider from there. But I am definitely keeping a close eye on it because I do think there will be value, and there will be significant gains to be made with Chainlink in the future. So that's all I got here on the TA side of things. Again, I do want to make the recommendations for you guys to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. The last thing I wanted to talk to you guys about over the weekend, we saw that Mr. Pally here on Twitter is one of the best people to follow if you are interested in the Craig Wright versus Mr. Klein's estate and attorney and team of attorneys in the South Florida region. It's Things are looking very, very dim for Mr. Craig Wright, and I have to say that I am very happy to see that this is going on, because I do think we see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I do think that Mr. Wright is going to be proven to be wrong and have defrauded a lot of individuals, including his latest endeavor with BSV. And this is the sort of thing that has to find an end. And this is, in my opinion, a great thing for the industry as a whole, because we will see this sort of thing disappear into oblivion once the judges rule on the side of Mr. Kleinman's estate, since Mr. Craig Wright could not provide any proof that he has any sort of access to the accounts from the early days in Bitcoin, where a lot of the first Bitcoins that were mined are still kept in those addresses. He claims that he has no access to those individuals, nor has access to the what do you call it? I guess they formed a trust. The Tulip Trust is what they called it. But my theory on that whole thing is that he knows enough, or was close enough to the people who were actually in the Tulip Trust, to know about the trust and what went on within the closed doors of the planning and the formation of the estate back in those days. But I don't think that he was part of it, right? That's how he knows a lot of this information, but not. But obviously, by him not being able to provide any actual factual, tangible proof that he does have ownership over those, or even control. I mean, there are several. There's a long list of accounts, addresses that hold a lot of Bitcoin from the early days. Not once, or not one of those accounts can he gain access to and actually sign a transaction from any of those accounts. He did say he did have control and was able to sign transactions from one of the addresses in the list that he gave, but then somebody caught wind on the outside and actually signed a transaction off of that particular address that he was mentioning he had control over. So while he was in court, this individual holding the actual account did sign a transaction, and thus was proven that Mr. Craig Wright was again a liar and a buffoon, in my opinion. So again, this is a very positive thing in my opinion. I do think we're going to see an end pretty soon. He still has a bone to pick with Mr. Peter McCormack in the UK, and I can only think that Mr. McCormack is salivating at the current is talk about the teeing it up for Mr. McCormack. He can definitely use a lot of the facts from this current case to make his own in the UK. So that's all I have for you guys. Thanks for joining. Hope you enjoyed the TA side of things. If there's something you guys want me to look at, definitely let me know down in the comments. Definitely follow. I hope that you enjoyed the TA 101 section. There's a lot of easy tricks out there to trade and make some relatively safe bets on these crypto markets. So, comment down below. Let me know what you're thinking. If I miss anything, definitely let me know. Follow me on these different channels, The Real Shot 256 at Instagram and Twitter. And I will definitely catch you guys on the next video. Thanks so much.